Welcome to Chai with Molly, a show where we celebrate diversity the Canadian way. We have an amazing show in store for you, so stay with us. Iraq is spiraling quickly out of control. Will it remain a nation, or will it disintegrate into 3 separate countries? To give us an insight into it, we have in our studio a very special guest, Mr. Rabia Alos. Well, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Rabia Alos, you are an Iraqi Canadian residing now in Canada. Thank you for being here with us today. We would like you to tell us what is going on in Iraq right now.
Well, the problem is in Iraq, over the last few years, especially since the Americans left in 2011, the government has been marginalizing the Sunni Muslims, who make about maybe 25 to 30% of the population.
Okay.
And because of that, there has been a lot of discontent, and now we see the ISIS going in, and mostly ISIS are fighters from outside Iraq.
Okay. So these are not Iraqis fighting
Most
for
of
Iraq.
them the majority of them are not Iraqis, mostly from the Gulf region, some from North Africa.
Okay.
So they're really foreign to Iraq. So they're coming in and taking the lead in fighting government forces, but they've been backed by the Sunni population simply because there is discontent. People are feeling that they are marginalized, and they need to stand up against the current prime minister. So
give us a sense of the composition of Iraq. I know for someone like you who lives there and who has ties back to that country, it's easy to understand the dynamics. But for someone like us who has never been to that part of the world, it's difficult for us to understand. So give us a sense of the composition of the country.
Well, Iraq is about, like, Iraq's population, 60% to 65 are Shiite Muslims, and the rest are Christians. Used to be about 5%. Now they don't make more than 1%.
I have heard, the last reports I heard was that there are hardly any Christians left.
In Mosul, city of Mosul, this is my grandfather's city. There's no Christian, everybody left.
Yes.
But there are about currently between 300,000 to 500,000 people.
Still there?
Still not in Mosul, but in Iraq.
Okay.
But there used to be more than 1.5 million in 2003.
1.2 million, I heard was the number. Okay, good.
Yeah. So, and then you have the Kurds, who make about 20% of the population. Most of them are Sunnis, and then the Sunni Arabs. You have to go back 1,400 years ago. The two main factions of Islam, Shiite, make about 15% of the total Muslim population.
Okay.
They've been persecuted, or they feel they've been persecuted. Most of the time it was the Sunnis who were running the show.
Okay.
So in modern day Iraq, since 1921 till today, 2003, Sunnis used to rule the country. 2003, Shiites took over, and they have been marginalizing more and more the rest of the...
Now, help us to understand just a little bit of an understanding. I know it's a lot more complex and we would need a lot more time. Why is there so much of hatred and animosity between Shias and Sunnis? I know it's difficult for people to understand that.
It's basically, bottom line, people do not accept the other.
Oh.
And if they do accept the other, we'll not have any problem. And I presume this happens across all religions, everywhere. We had this in Europe in the Middle Ages, where the church split because of infighting, and today this is what's happening in the Middle East and across Islamic countries. I believe a minority of people who are extremists are taking over. And unfortunately, the moderate mainstream Muslims are just sitting aside and watching. And
But what can they do? What can they do? I'm sure there are people who want to do something, but what can they do? When you are facing people who are determined not to have a dialogue with you, but just to kill you,
well,
then how do you deal with something like that?
The people who want to kill you are basically young kids in their teens or in their 20s. I would say most probably they are illiterate, or they have been brainwashed not to accept the others. And what needs to be done is the grand muftis, the grand ayatollahs, the religious leaders in Islam, they have to speak out and say that this is foreign to our religion. We do not accept this, and everybody who's following those people are not acceptable in mainstream Islam. And they should go out and put this message out very strongly. And if they don't do that, we'll see growth in those extremist groups.
Because what we are witnessing in Iraq and Syria prior to Iraq is very, very difficult for people who are not from that part of the world to really comprehend. You know, I was talking to you earlier that I've just been sent some pictures of people who are actually being crucified.
Yeah.
How can something like this happen? How can you crucify people?
Well, unfortunately, like for example, in ISIS, to get some sort of a promotion, you need to slaughter people. Technically, slaughter people, like maybe 10 to go to the next level, and they'll just go out and do it. And some of them, Christians, for example, other minorities, they're not armed. They don't have any militias.
Yeah, because they're not violent.
And they're exactly. And I mean, their loyalty is to the state, and they expect that the state is supposed to take care of them. Unfortunately, in Mosul, we just saw the army collapse within hours and just pull out. The soldiers ran away, and the easiest target are the minorities, whether they're Christians or Yazidis. They'll just go after them.
Right, because I saw a clip on the news, and these are Iraqi people who were talking about it, and they said, you know, we don't even know what they want. They just come and kill.
Exactly.
They don't say anything. They don't ask for anything. They're just killing us.
Exactly, and those who are doing it mainly, I believe it's the non-Iraqis.
Because they don't have the love of the country.
Exactly.
Okay, or the people.
I mean, most of them are coming from the Gulf region where they have not interacted with Christians. So for them, those are infidels. We just need to get rid of them, and they'll do that.
Okay, now why is the government of Iraq are they incapable of handling this, or are they just silent spectators?
They're incapable of handling it.
Why though?
Because the current prime minister wants to marginalize the other population.
Okay, so he's the one responsible for giving them an opportunity?
Of course, I mean, he's the prime minister. He has all the power in his hand. He is the chief commander of the army.
Okay.
Everybody reports to him. There has been abuse of power, I believe. And he's not ready to open up and talk to the others. And
why has he? I know the American government and all the Western governments have been going and talking to him about this and asking him to be a lot more inclusive of other people, but he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to include other people, nor does he want to resign. Does he have another plan?
It's not even a resign. His government is not in power anymore. There was an election last month.
Okay.
And actually in April.
Okay.
And the parliament sat on the 1st of July.
Okay.
They were supposed to elect a prime minister.
Okay.
He has the largest parliamentary group, but not the majority. The majority of parliament wants somebody else, anybody but
him.
but him.
Yes.
And he just wants to hang on.
Okay.
He believes
So
that that the Shiites need to go and control the countries, and everybody else, they will have to take it.
But the way it looks like, they may not be Iraq the way we know it anymore. Is it going to disintegrate into perhaps 3 different countries?
Unfortunately, this could happen. I mean, we could see maybe 3 regions, a Sunni region, a Kurdish region, and a Shiite region.
Because I know the Kurds have already declared their intentions
Exactly.
to be independent.
But again, it has to get blessings from the international community, and I don't think.
You don't think they will get it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not at this time.
Okay. All right.
There is a lot of resistance to that. So I hope eventually a new prime minister will come in who will actually start talking to everybody and.
So there is hope. You're hopeful.
I am hopeful. Yes, I'm always hopeful. So we'll see.
Give us a sense of the Iraqi community here in Canada. I know a whole lot of them reside here in this country. Give us a sense of your community.
Well, in Toronto, I believe there are about 30 to 40,000 Iraq in the GTA. Most of them are Christians. Okay. And a lot came in over the last 5 years through the program that Minister Jason Kenney championed back in 2009. Okay. So over the last few years, 20,000 Iraqis came in.
Thank God that they are in a safe country.
Exactly. And most of them arrived as sponsored refugees, so they're not a burden on the government or the taxpayer. They were sponsored mainly by churches. Yes. Or by relatives. Some arrived on sponsorship from the United Nations and the Canadian government. And they are integrating well into the community in Canada simply because they've lost hope of going back home. So for them, they're starting from zero and they want to start and be part of the Canadian society.
Well, I'm sure Canada is richer for that. So what is the Canadian government doing to help? I'm sure they have their families back home, or they may have their relatives back in Iraq. Canada is a champion for democracy. Yes. And for religious freedom, right?
Correct.
So what is the Canadian government doing to further assist in this crisis?
Well, the program for the privately sponsored refugees is still on. Okay. And the applications are being expedited. It's not taking more than a year to a year and a half to process applications. So they can come in fairly quickly. They'll have to be outside Iraq. Any refugee applying has to be either in Jordan, Turkey, Syria, Lebanon to come over here. Okay. And the Canadian government, I know they're trying to influence the Iraqi government on being more inclusive.
I know. Everybody has tried to impress upon him, but for some reason he's not willing to listen. I mean, even at the point of creating this huge crisis in the country.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think Canada should talk to Arab leaders like King Abdullah in Saudi, in Egypt, in Jordan, and press on them that their grand muftis, their top religious leaders should come out and should say that this is unacceptable, people shouldn't do this, and they should encourage people to be more moderate.
That's right, because you see, the minorities that are being persecuted so brutally in Iraq right now, and prior to that in Syria, they are indigenous people. They're not people who came from outside.
Exactly.
Right? So
they've been around for 3,000, 3,500 years.
That's right, because Iraq is one of those ancient countries that has a huge history.
Exactly.
And what I also read on the news is that they're going out and now destroying all these special shrines, ancient shrines.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
they've occupied the Archdiocese of Mosul for the Chaldean Catholic Church, and they've turned it into a headquarters. They destroyed all the statues, all the icons. They've done the same with the Archdiocese of the Syriac Orthodox Church, again in Mosul. They've been attacking monasteries, but at the same time, they're attacking even Islamic religious centers.
So they're not motivated by religion then. Their agenda must be something else.
It is religion, but this particular group is like Taliban when they went and destroyed the statues back
in Afghanistan.
In Afghanistan, they're doing the same, and they believe the same. So there is an old church that was turned into a mosque that was built over a hill in Mosul, where the Prophet Jonah was
and I know
buried.
that they destroyed that
They
too.
They destroyed that, and this is like a few thousand years old.
Yeah, I mean, and it's
currently a mosque.
Okay.
So
that is really unfortunate. Now, I know in response to all of this crisis, you and your friends and people from your community are trying to come together to do something to address this. What are the plans?
We'll be writing to the Canadian government, different offices, the Prime Minister's office, and different departments, and asking them to get involved more. And there is a need to help refugees. People are locally, they had to migrate. There is a village that's the largest town in Iraq for Christians, 50,000 people.
Okay.
Largest village of Christians in Iraq.
Okay.
40 to 50,000 of them left. There were only a couple of thousand left, along with the Archbishop of the Syriac Catholic Church, and it was defended by the Kurds, but they had to be relocated, and they need help, they need support. So, and we're hoping that the Canadian government will be able to step up and help.
Now, there are people who are watching this program, people like me who are not from that part of the world, who would like to help. What can we do? What would you like us to do? How can we participate in this process to help people from that part of the world who are going through this horrific experience?
The Iraqi churches here in Toronto, they are raising money that they're sending over to Iraq to help the refugees. So this is one part, and prayers. We'll definitely need the prayers, and we're hoping to have a vigil sometime over the next few weeks for prayers in Iraq as well as the rest of the world.
Okay. So will you be sending us all those details?
Of course.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and definitely all of us are keeping you, your families, your community, and people from your country in our prayers, and hopefully peace will come.
I hope so. Thank you.
The real estate market has gone up 7.5% since last year. What does it mean to you as a buyer or as a seller? Let's talk to our real estate expert, Jay Banerjee.
Hi, good to be here, Molly.
So tell us, now the market has gone up. Now those who have already bought have done exceptionally well because they're already making money.
Absolutely.
Right? And those who want to sell, what does it mean for them?
Yes. Well, see, what happens is when the market rises, generally you think that someone's winning, someone's losing, which is not necessarily the case, and I'll tell you why. But there are things that one should do to make sure if you want to buy a home and sell your home, to do it properly in this market.
Okay.
There are a couple of numbers. One is 15% approximately. You see, the number of sales, this is very important, number of homes sold in June from the same time a year ago is up by 15%.
Okay, what does it mean?
What it means is that the inventory, people who are putting the homes on the market are not the same amount the inventory of the homes coming on have not kept up with the growth of sales.
Okay.
What that comes to is what the classes I took in marketing 101 25, 30 years ago, and that does date me, Molly. However, it says that supply and demand. The supply is down, the demand is up.
Yes, people are not selling their homes as much.
Yeah,
As they used
and
to.
or the demand is more. One of the two.
Okay,
Or the demand
yeah.
is more.
Yeah.
So if you're a seller, you are winning today.
Okay.
If you're a buyer, you're winning tomorrow. And that's why either way you're okay at this point. And I'll tell you why. If you're a seller, call your realtor, get an appraisal, price it where the market is today, and done properly in certain markets in Toronto, in the 416, you're getting multiple offers and homes from 10, 20, 50 to as high in the downtown for a detached home of $200, $300, $1,000 more for their home.
Okay, now, even in this market, when homes are selling for more than asking price with multiple offers, pricing the home correctly is still very relevant, isn't
Good point. Absolutely. Because if you price it right, the market is the market. It'll sell where it's going to sell. If you overprice it, the people that were looking for a home in this price range who may qualify for more would not get the home, not get to look at the home. But you see, if you price it and you reach 100% of the target market, what that means is that you have now reached 100% of the people. And will you agree with me that the more people that come to look at your home,
higher the chances.
exactly. So price it right, talk to the realtor, look at the evaluation price, and do the right thing, but do it quickly. That's for seller.
Okay, because there are sellers out there, I know for a fact, who are under this misconception that just because the market is doing so well, maybe I can try a little
Yes.
bit more.
Yes, and that would be a misconception because it'll actually hurt them. Because if the price is too high, many people won't even bother looking at the home.
And it is happening.
It is happening.
It is happening, right?
That's something called an expired listing, which homes don't sell. And when you drive by, you're going to, why didn't it
Listings
sell?
are still expiring even in
Exactly.
this market.
So a seller is winning, but they can win more by doing this.
All right, so now this is for the seller.
Yeah.
Now let's talk from a buyer's point of view.
Yes.
This can be very challenging,
Yes, it can.
almost,
It can.
almost scary.
Yeah. You
So
need.
what do you want to say to those who are looking to buy?
If you're watching this show, you're looking to buy, you want to advise somebody, write this down. Write down the word, first of all, mortgage financing. Because without the mortgage financing in place to make a firm offer, you could be outbid. Do not deal with the mortgage financing after the fact, number one. Number two, write down the word, a good realtor. Not because I'm a realtor, but because that's a fact. You need a good
Realtors
realtor.
are valuable.
That's right.
You can't do without them, right?
That's right. Have a good realtor in place
Yes.
who will show you and put a plan in place. Make sure the realtor has a plan. And number three is you have closing costs. Know what they are, so there are no surprises whatsoever in purchasing. And the fourth thing is when you go out, make your decision quickly, because the average time in Toronto for a home is between 20 and 25 days on the market. That's the average, but a home under 500,000 could have multiple offers. So if you go and see 10 homes or 5 homes in 2 visits this week, and you end up in a place where you've seen the home and you want to wait, they'll be all gone.
And you and I, we know some of our clients, right, who thought, okay, let me wait 5 years ago, and I want to see where the market is, and maybe the prices will come down before I purchase.
They would be ahead by $200,000.
They
in
would
many
have been.
cases.
They would have been.
But you know what, Molly? It's not too late, because even though you think the seller is winning, the buyer today, let's take ourselves, can we fast forward 5 years from now? Look at the trends of the economic indicators. I mean, GDP alone went up almost, is 1.2% in the last quarter. Employment has improved. Inflation is only at 2.3, but here's the number. I'll give you two numbers, number 1 and number 3. The Bank of Canada, they call it the overnight rate, is 1%. The
That's unbelievable.
Exactly. Remember the days gone by in the 80s or 90s, 14, 15, 18%. It was
I remember in the
atrocious.
90s when the interest rates came down to 10%,
Yes.
and people were locking it in,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. I do too, Molly. So, and the other one is the number 3, where to borrow, it could be as low as 2.99 or less for a 5-year mortgage today. That is unbelievable. So with these rates in mind, for the next 5 years, you know what's going to be your cost to carry the home. You buy it today with the economic trends, employment doing well, economics coming into our province of Ontario, into the city of GTA, immigration doing well. The chance of your home going up another 5 to 7%, the way it has been for the next 5 years, is pretty good. So 5 years from now, you'll be in the same place as the seller is. So today is still a win-win. Still a
Yes.
win-win. Call.
Right, and the reason why these homes are selling so quickly and for more money or for full price is because somebody is buying them,
Absolutely.
right? So those who are not taking a chance are really shortchanging themselves, isn't it?
Well, there's another factor here is I just remembered. Well, let's look at the rental capacity and the rental rates. The rental capacity, well, the amount of people renting has gone up 30%, while the cost of living in a rental has gone up 11% in the last 1 year alone. So it's not our incomes haven't gone up 11%. But if the same person who was renting was able to afford to buy a property, they would end up putting a lot of the money into their own pocket because they're spending just as much or close to in a rental property.
In some cases,
Absolutely.
even more.
And you can't get a place.
You can't get a place.
Can't
Even
get a place.
rentals nowadays are getting multiple offers, right? So what would you like to tell someone who's looking to first sell his home and then perhaps buy?
Okay. What I would say is call the realtor, get an evaluation done known as a comparative market evaluation. Have your home clean and ready. Don't take weeks because things, who knows? Something could change tomorrow. We hope not. Call the realtor and list your home right away on the MLS listing system because that's where you get the fair price. For a buyer, go find an agent that you're comfortable with to work with and ask him to get yourself under contract. Because if someone knows your need, they can follow you through time. They can make sure you get the right home. Don't see double properties and everything is clean and neat. So hire a realtor, get your financing, know your closing cost. That's it.
All right.
So,
Thank you so much for
you're
being
welcome.
here.
Yes.
That's all for this week. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as we enjoyed preparing it for you. Before you sleep tonight, we urge you to say a prayer for all those people living in Iraq and Syria who are suffering and pray for the peace of that land. We'll see you again, same time, same place. Until then, this is Molly, and this has been Chai with Molly.